Hi folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to take a quick look at Role Player. This game is for 2 to 4 players. It's for ages 10 and up, and the average play time is about 60 to 90 minutes. So Role Player is all about creating a class and a character and trying to get as many reputation points as possible in order to win the game. To get reputation points, you're going to be rolling a lot of dice, okay? Now there's a lot of different components to this game, so I'm going to show them to you first, then get into the gameplay. Here's a look at the box insert. I've got some extra baggies here that aren't being used because obviously I've got some components set up already, but this is what the box insert looks like. The box is fairly big too. We also have a bunch of these character cards. They're double-sided. One's male, one's female. There's no difference between the two, but if we there we go. If we straighten them out, as you can see, there's 3 empty holes here for each of the different attributes, like strength and dexterity and constitution, intellect, wisdom, and charisma. And depending on what class you end up with, and depending on what backstory you end up with, you're going to be trying to get dice over here and put them on these various spaces in a particular order. And that'll make more sense once I show you the other cards. But here's a look at some of the characters, like elf. There's human, orc, halfling, and so on. And again, they're double-sided, and the other side is just for male, female, nothing different about them. You've also got these tracking cubes, which will be used to track your alignment and to be put onto your class card whenever you get to that point. Your alignment, well, I guess we'll start with those. Basically, players will get an alignment card at the beginning of the game, like Hermit, or Neurotic, Eccentric, Scoundrel, Arbiter, that kind of thing. And basically what you're trying to do is, you're trying to move your tracker on this card to the right spot through different market cards that you might get. And basically, like you'll notice here, the Hermit would get 3 points at the end of the game if it remains completely neutral. Whereas if it were down here on up here, right, you'll get -1 point at the end of the game should you end up in that spot. So you're trying to adjust your alignment throughout the game to give you some points at the end. Like the Neurotic one benefits if it's on the lawful but evil side, and then there's a chaotic and good side up here. If it's all the way up here, then they'll get -1 point. So you get the idea. People are going to be trying to maneuver this cube around their alignment card in order to get more reputation points at the end of the game. So there's the alignment cards here. There's also different class cards. Players are going to roll a die at the beginning of the game, and they'll end up with a class. Now these are double-sided, so you can end up with different ones. Like here's a wizard and a sorcerer. There's a rogue and a thief. There's a cleric and a paladin. There's a bard and a monk, a ranger, and a druid. Then you've got the warrior and the barbarian here on the red. So basically, whatever die you roll, you're going to match that color with the card, and then that's the class that you receive. You can pick one or the other based on what your preference is. But you can see that they have different stats that they're trying to aim for. This is what this particular class, the sorcerer, is trying to get: intellect. And that'll give them, so if they can meet 18 points of intellect at the end of the game, they'll get 4 reputation points, which is what they want. They want to get as much reputation as possible. Now, some of them fall within a range, like 15 to 16, so all you have to do is get 15 or 16, and then you'll be fine. You'll get 2 points for that. Strength, as long as you have 14 or more with the sorcerer, you'll gain 1 reputation point for that. So yeah, there's different things to pay attention to, but to get 4 reputation points on this character, you need exactly 18 points. If you go over, then you don't get those reputation points, so you got to be careful. You will get different stats based on the equipment that you get. Like there's slots for weapons, there's a slot for armor, there's a slot for skills. There's no limit to how much armor you can get or skills, but there is a limit on the weapons that you can get. Basically, you can only have up to 2 hands worth of weapons. The barbarian, on the other hand, can get 4. So like if you have 2 one-handed weapons, that's usually all you can really get. So that's the class cards there. You've also got, let's see, backstory cards. Okay, and each person will also get one of these as well, on top of the class card. And like Brawler, Chosen One, Craftsman, Exonerated, Hunter, Mentor, Patrician, that kind of thing, Devoted, Lost Soul, Savant, Resilient, and basically at random you'll get one of these, and also you're going to be trying to put dice into these holes here, and if you can match the color, like if you can manage to get one black die on this first dexterity spot here, you'll gain, well, you'll need 2 to 3 correct matching dice to get 1 reputation point. You'll need 4 to 5 matching die on this card to get 4 to 5 victory or slash reputation points. And if you manage to match all 6, you'll get 6 reputation points at the end of the game. So in addition to trying to get numbers here, like for strength, like you'll be putting like a 6 here and a 3 here. And sorry about the interruption, folks. It's a crazy day. I'm getting a tree cut down in my backyard. You know, folks are out and about this weekend and, you know, need to call me for various reasons. So, yeah. Anyway, you know, it's all part of being a large family. But anyway, let's get back to this. I was about to explain, like, you know, in addition to having to put dice here to try and match what's on your backstory card to get some extra points, you're also going to be adding up the pips on the die that you're going to be placing here in these 3 slots, plus any armor or weapons that you might have or skills that you might have to try and get to these numbers that are here. And again, let me just show you the druid real quick. So if I were trying to get a strength of 14 to 15 on strength, I might try to do a 6, a 5, which is 11, and then I could put down a 3, which is 14. But I have to be careful. Do I have any weapons or armor that would add strength and push me over that 14 to 15 limit? So there's some things you have to look out for. So in addition to trying to get the color in the right spot, you're also trying to get the pips to add up to a certain number to get the reputation points that you're looking for, or the gold that you're looking for on your character or your class card. So yeah, there's a lot of different things going on here. There's also a reference card. It's 2-sided. You can see the play sequence here, and you can also see on the other side, this is used at the end of the game to count up how many reputation points you have. You can just simply use that cube to keep track of that. And of course, the reputation points also come into play here on this alignment card. Now you've also got this initiative area over here. Like, you'll be using a certain number of cards based on how many people are playing the game. It's hard to explain setup because setup is slightly different for how many people are playing the game. Like in a 5-player or 4-player game, for example, you'll use all of the cards, and these are even 2-sided too. So here's the 3-player one that you'll use. Here's a 4-player one that you'll use. This one, if you have 4 players, you use this card and put a coin on it. So in a 2-player game, for example, you've got a 2p plus, 2p plus, and then 2p. So you've got 1, 2, and 3. So in a 2-player game, you've got these 3 initiative cards. There's a little gold icon here, so there's a gold that gets put here at the beginning of the game. You also draw as many market cards as there are initiative cards. So you start off with 3 there in a 2-player game. That's going to change based on how many people are playing. So I'm going to go ahead and put this off to the side. I explained those. The backstory cards, I explained those. Put those off to the side. I'm going to put the class cards here off to the side. Don't need those. Alignment cards off to the side. I'm not going to show you like 2 different people playing because I don't have enough room within the camera shot to do that. Each player also starts with 5 money, but again, this will change based on how many people are playing. In a 3 or 4-player game, the 3rd and 4th player gets extra gold. I'm not going to go into the details. There's also these charisma tokens that players can get, and that basically knocks off the cost. Each of these market cards has a cost in the upper right-hand corner. You'll see here this one costs 3. So if I have a charisma token, I can use that, knock that down to 2, and then I only spend 2 gold to acquire that card. And each card does something different, like leather gloves, part of the leather set. And that's another way you can score victory points at the end. If you armor really doesn't do much for you during the game, but if you collect leather sets or chainmail sets and that kind of thing at the end of the game, you'll get a certain number of reputation or victory points, which is pretty cool. And then +1 for set if worn by purple or black classes. So you have to pay attention to these cards. There's also a little dot in the upper right hand corner. There's some of these market cards have 1 dot, some of these cards have 2 dots. You're going to separate them, shuffle the decks up separately, put the 1s on top of the 2s, because the 2s tend to be a little bit stronger and more expensive. So the market deck is set up that way, and you're also going to remove so many cards from each deck based on how many people are playing the game. Again, it's slightly different setup. Also, dice. Each player at the beginning of the game will get so much dice out of the bag based on how many people are playing. You're going to draw randomly. Now, the variant that I like that's listed in the manual is that each player, to be less random, will get 1 of each color. There's also a gold color in the bag, and it really doesn't do much for you here, except that when you put it down, it'll give you gold. Okay, so anytime you put a gold die down into your board, you'll get 2 gold. That's one way to earn money. If you completely fill up an attribute slot here with 3 dice, that also grants you some money. So there are other ways besides the gold dice to get gold in this game. But anyway, what was I doing? Oh yeah, where's the... I thought I had a card here. I must have misplaced it. Okay, well, unless I put it back on top. Yeah, I did. Okay, so there we go. So basically, each player is going to get so much dice at the beginning of the game. There's going to be start players. The setup, here's the manual here, in case I didn't show it to you. It's about 16 pages long, and it's also fairly large too. So again, I'm not going to cover everything that's in the manual, but I do want to give you the highlights so you know what you're getting into. This entire page is devoted to setup. So like I said, I'm not going to cover everything here. But just to sum it up, each player gets their board, gets their cards. They get their money, starting money, and you'll put out so many of these market cards and arrange the deck the right way, and initiative cards there. And then at the beginning of a round, what's going to happen is, well, before that, during setup, players are also going to get dice. Again, the manual, the standard way to play is to draw randomly from the bag, and you'll be using those. But I like the variant that each player gets each colored die like this. And then in a 3 or 4 player game, you draw extra dice appropriately. Again, there's a lot of dice in this bag. There's, I don't remember what the contents, well, that was heavy and loud, but let me see, there's a 73 dice total. So there's a lot of different dice in this game. Here's a list of all the components. But yeah, back to gameplay. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose these dice during setup and place them. Now, I've got, I can put my black one here, for example, and, well, first you're going to roll them. And that's the numbers that you end up with. And now I'm going to go ahead and place them. So I'm going to put maybe the 4 here. That'll match that, which is good. Now, I don't want to put the green one here. I could put the green one here, but I do need a green one for this on the second slot in Constitution. So this white one is pretty far away. So I might want to consider putting the white one here and then the green one here to do that. And that'll help me... resolve, like I need 17 Constitution exactly to get 3 reputation points at the end. Strength I need 18, so I'm going to want some high numbers up here. So maybe I'll wait on doing anything there until I'm ready to, until I draw more dice during the game and then place them. And I'll explain that in a little bit. This is still set up, mind you. Alright, now there's a purple one down here. I don't get a whole lot for charisma, so I might sacrifice, not a sacrifice, but I'll put a red die here. And I'm not worried about meeting the 14 charisma requirement, so maybe I'll put the purple die here, and at least that'll match this here. So I've already matched 2 dice on this particular backstory card. So I'm guaranteed at least 1 reputation point at the end of the game, which is nice. And I've got a blue die here. Where am I going to put it? Maybe we'll throw it... I could throw it on Constitution, and that'll give me 13. But I have to hope that I get something during the game that'll give me 4 extra Constitution to meet the 17 Constitution requirement, because 4 plus 6 plus 3 is only 14, or 13 rather. So I need an extra 4 to meet this 17 Constitution requirement. And I'd have to be on the lookout for something like that from the market as they come up. So maybe I'll place this, instead of putting it here and limiting myself, maybe I'll put it just on Intellect. Okay, so that's basically the gist of setup. Again, that was just a rough and dirty version of it. Okay, now this might be hard to see, but the gameplay is basically broken up over a series of 4 phases, if you will. There's the roll phase, there's the dice phase, there's the market phase, and then there's the cleanup phase. And basically, during the dice phase, the start player draws dice from the bag equal to the number of initiative cards, and then rolls them. And then what they get to do is they're going to put them out, like so. They're going to do from lowest to highest. They're going to do, say, 2, and then 4, and then 5. If there's a tie, they can choose how to do that. But it's going to go from lowest to highest. Okay. So now, at this point, that's basically the end of the roll phase. Then players move on to the dice phase. In turn order, each player chooses an initiative card. Place the die in the leftmost space of an attribute row. Gain any gold. Take associated attribute action optional. Now, during setup, you don't take the actions, but each of these attributes, strength, dexterity, constitution, intellect, wisdom, and charisma, each have a action that you can perform whenever you put a die there during the game. Not during setup, but during the game. And here's a quick outline of that for those of you that want to see that. Like strength, for example. Placing a die in the strength attribute row allows the player to change the face value of any die on their character sheet to the face value on the opposite side of the die. So you could turn a 1 into a 6, a 2 into a 5, and etc. Whereas, say, intelligence. Placing a die in the intelligence attribute row allows the player to choose any die on their character sheet and re-roll it. The player may choose to keep either the new value or the original value. The die is then returned to its original space on the character sheet. So I'm not going to go over all of these for the sake of time, but there's that. So there's... Now players will go ahead and choose, again in turn order, an initiative card. So if the first player chooses this one, they'll get the gold in addition to the 4 here. So that might be something good. They could also choose the 5 if they really need some high values. They won't get a gold for it, but they could choose that if they want to. Or they can, opt to get this 2 over here. So let's go ahead. And the nice thing, though, is that even though this is a low number, and you would wonder, okay, so why would I pick the 1 ever if it's always going to be the lower number? This will help determine turn order in the future, based on this initiative here, because things are played out in initiative order during the game. So let's go ahead and just say that someone else chooses the 3, and let's say I choose the 2. So I'm going to get a black 4, the gold, and I'm going to take the 2 card here. Now, again, in turn order, we're going to place the die. I've already fulfilled my black requirement on my backstory card, so I can use this 4 anywhere I want to. So maybe if I don't really care about charisma, I could put the 4 on the charisma, and that would do, placing a die in the charisma attribute row allows the player to take a charisma token. During the market phase this round, the player may spend any charisma token in place of 1 gold when buying a market card. So I've got all this gold, but if I put this here, it was a 4. Not only do I get a gold for filling this up completely, so I would take 1 gold from the bag, here's the rest of the gold. In addition to that, I would also get a charisma token, which would give me a discount on the market up here. So let's just say the other player did his thing and assigned his die appropriately, and this is what I ended up with, okay? So now we're on to the market. In initiative order, this is what I was talking about earlier. I have a 2 and he has a 3. So I would go, instead of the start player going first, or whoever it was, I would go first since I have the 2. So collecting the lower number, will help you out later on, even if the lower number doesn't really help you out much here. But it might. It might just give you enough to meet a certain requirement here. But anyway, initiative order, each player visits the market, buy a card, or gain 2 gold by discarding a card. So basically that means that, if you don't want a card from the market, you can pick 1, discard it, and then get 2 gold from the bank. But in most cases, you may want to buy something that'll help you out. For example, the quarterstaff here. When completing an attribute row, gain 2 additional gold. So in the future, if I have this in my weapons slot over here, then I'll get 2 additional gold for completing these rows, which is actually pretty good at the beginning of the game, because at the end of the game, we'll signal whenever everyone has filled up all of their rows. And then based on how they've managed their dice throughout the game, based on these actions here and other things, they'll get reputation points of that. So I think buying this card would be a good idea. Now, it's a 2-handed weapon. There's the number of hands listed here, and that's all I can do. I can't get any more weapons from that. However, the barbarian can handle 2 2-handed weapons if he wants. He can have a total of 4 weapon hands, so to speak. But anyway, so I'm going to pay 4 gold to the bank. Actually, I'll pay 3 and use this, because at the end of the round, your reputation will these charisma tokens will go away. So I paid that to the bank, and I should have more gold than this, obviously, but you get the idea. And I got that quarterstaff, and then each player in turn will go ahead and buy these cards. Now, this does not get refilled as you buy them, but they will get refilled later after the round is over. Alright, so that was that, and then cleanup. Return all initiative cards. Well, first, return all initiative cards to the center. So it makes sense that as you play these cards, or as you take your turns, that the initiative cards come back to the center so that you can keep track of who has taken their turn thus far. So this die was used by the other player, and that goes away. Alright, cleanup. Discard any unused charisma tokens and refresh 1 skill card. Sorry about that. I got another phone call. You wouldn't believe the hectic day I've been having. Getting back to the cleanup phase. Discard any unused charisma tokens and refresh 1 skill card. Should you have a skill card, which you've got skill cards over here on the left-hand side, you can tap them sort of like in Magic the Gathering. You can tap them, turn them sideways to use those skills. And then you can, during the cleanup, you can refresh 1 skill card if you've done that. Return any dice in the dice pool to the bag and discard any remaining market cards. So this wasn't used. This goes back to the bag. like so. You've got draw new market cards. I've already done that, so that's completely filled up again. Add a gold to initiative card. So again, this one has a 2 on it. This is the bank, so I'll just use that. There we go. And then pass the dice bag to the left. And that's basically what you're going to be doing the entire game. And again, this was just a rough and dirty version of it. Players are going to be taking turns, acquiring cards, acquiring dice, and trying to fill up their rows. So you may end up with something like this throughout the at the end of the game. Maybe you'll have, I don't know, 5 here, and I don't know, there's 4. And I know that I need 18 strength exactly. So let's say that I managed to get a 6 in here. That's 15, but maybe there's a card in here throughout the game that'll give me something else that will help me push that to the 18 slot. Like here's just a quick example of some of those cards. Concentrate, take any attribute action. Oh, and some of these cards also will move your alignment marker in a particular direction. Like here's this. Take any attribute action. And this is a skill card. So this will move your guy or your tracker here to the left, which is bad for the renegade because he wants to be in the upper right hand corner. So you also want to keep track of what skills you're using and where your marker currently is. There's acrobats, intimidate, ancient spear. Looking for stuff that has possibly, I don't know, maybe if they're not in here, weapon. Gain 3 reputation for each column on your character sheet with 4 or more dice of the same color. Concentrate, we already went through that one. Yeah, I'm sure there's cards in here that will adjust your stats in some way. I just can't seem to find any right now. Nimble, it's just 1 reputation point there. Final scoring, obsessed. Gain additional reputation for every 2 dice in your class color. Gain 4 stars for every 4 gold you have. And there's also a variant listed in the manual to where you can mix up the 1 and 2 dots if you want to, rather than having the 1 dot cards on top of the 2 dot cards at the beginning of the game. Longbow. So I could have sworn there was cards in here somewhere that allowed you to adjust this. But of course you can also, even if there's not, you can use these actions to swap dice. So throughout the game, maybe I can get the 6 up here and, swap 2 dice around that way through the dexterity action. Or if I could, again, I need 18, so if I can get another 6 up here somehow, by flipping the die over, throughout the game. Maybe I switch this to a 2 at some point, and then I subtracted a pip. That's what Constitution does. You can add or subtract a pip to the die. And then eventually, through another flip action, through the strength action, let's say I flip this over to a 6, and now I've got the 18 that I need in order to get that. So there's that, and again, you're going to be getting a bunch more dice. You're going to be adding them here, putting them down. And when this fills up completely, the game is over. And again, this gold die is not used for anything but gathering gold. And I need one more. Okay, let's just grab that one. Okay, so once the game is over, you're going to take a look at everything that you got here, and you're going to try and meet the requirements on your class card. So did I get 18 strength? Well, 16, 12, 18. Yes, I did. So I would get 4 reputation. Flip this over. Use the marker that was on here to track that. So 4 reputation there. Did I meet 16 to 17 dexterity? If I did, I get 2 reputation. That's 9. I did not. So 4, 8, 12. I can't add today. It's just a hectic day. 13. I did not get 13 constitution. So I don't get any points for that, and so on and so forth. You're also going to take a look here on your backstory. Did I meet the requirements? I got a blue die here, which is good. Black die, that's 2. I did not get a green one here. Red one here, nope. White one here, nope. Purple one here, yes. That was 3. So I got 1 point for that. That's going to go up by 1. And then some other cards that you might get, as you saw in the deck, reward you, based on what you have. Gain reputation for each skill card you have, that kind of thing. So you're going to take that into consideration as you're getting reputation points. You're going to look at your alignment card and see where it currently is. Let's say it's on -1, so I would lose a point, and so on and so forth. Now, obviously, that wasn't a really true representation of a game that would happen, but that should give you the basic idea. Dice get restocked here. Players sort of draft those dice, add them to their character sheet and try and satisfy all of these different cards here in order to get the most points. And again, they can use skills, you know, they can gain weapons, you can gain armor sets. Again, there's the leather gloves here, for example. So if you have a set of 4, for example, you get 8 reputation points at the end of the game. And then +1 reputation for each set if worn by purple or black class. I'm not a purple or black class, so the leather gloves would not work with this warrior, but it might work for some other class. And, well, the chain leggings, here we go. +1 reputation set if worn by a red or white class. I am a red class, so if I had 5, here, that would be 10 points, which is awesome. +1 for set if worn by red or white classes, so I get an extra point for that. So yeah, keep on the lookout for various cards that help your particular class out and then the like. But overall, this is a fantastic game. There's a lot of learning to do. There's a bit of a learning curve associated with it. Like I said, the manual is about 18 pages long. But once you get used to it, the gameplay just keeps flowing and flowing and flowing. So, you know, my advice is, even though it says 45 to 60 minutes, I believe, for the average play time, reserve an extra half hour or so, just so that you can get used to how the turns roll out. And once you start getting used to that, then things start making more sense, and you can actually plan yourself a little bit more accordingly, and your actions a little bit more accordingly. Because, again, these actions will help you meet the requirements that are on your character card here. And you got to be careful, though, because when you swap dice, you also may end up losing some points here. If you had a die on the right color matching this backstory, but you moved it because of its value, you know. So there's so much to look at, and it's very strategic that way, and I really like it. But it's also simple enough to where the turns play out in a relatively simple manner. Only 4 phases during the game, and they're not all that hard. Everything is explained, for the most part, right on this play sequence reference card. So, do I think this is an excellent game? Well, you probably know the answer to that already. Yes, yes, and yes. It feels like I'm building a character. I'm not big on RPGs, I'll be honest with you. I tried it once, and you have to have an imagination going into those things. Like, I don't go to gaming stores dressed as an elf or a wizard or anything like that and play RPGs. I don't do that. They're fun to watch sometimes when people are really into it, but I'm not big into that. But at the same time, but that just proves that this game is good, because I don't have to be a huge RPG fan to appreciate this. I play a lot of video games, and I play a lot of RPGs on said PC that I have. So, you know, I'm familiar with the terms strength, dexterity, constitution, intellect, and all of those things. So when I see quarterstaff, I'm like, yeah, I know what that is. I mean, I'm playing The Witcher 3 right now. I play Dragon Age, Oblivion, Skyrim, all those games. You know, all of those terms will sound familiar to you should you have played any of those PC games. So even if you're not a big-time RPG fan, you know, taking 3 hours to create a class, you know, by hand on paper, if you're more of a PC gamer, or, you know, just a console gamer that likes RPGs, then you'll still like this game regardless, I think. But yeah, a lot of components, everything's pretty much quality. I mean, I have no problem with anything. The only thing I didn't like was the way these punched out. Like, the game came with these things, it's a little guy with a trash icon. Basically, you throw them out, but you have to punch these out, and that will, if you're not careful enough, you will sort of, you know, cause tears here. That I don't like that, but that's just my OCD talking. But yeah, if you're not careful enough, just be on the lookout for something like that. But overall, excellent game. I also like the variants that are available. Like I said, in the beginning, everyone gets random dice, but you can change it to where everyone gets a dice of a different color, so that it's less random that way. What else is here? Random market deck. During setup, shuffle the entire market deck together, disregarding the single dot and double dot indicators before discarding cards to create the discard pile. This will add more variety to the game. Short game. During setup, each player draws and rolls 2 additional dice and places them on their character sheet. Thus, the number of dice each player draws is equal to the number of players plus 6. So there's that. Friendly market. During the market phase, if a player chooses to take 2 gold instead of buying a card, they do not have to discard a card from the market. Abilities that are triggered when a player discards a card from the market are still activated. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. There's even solitaire rules here, which I'm not going to get into for the sake of the video. It's already long enough. But there's a little score tracker here in case you want to keep track of how well you're doing when playing those solitaire rules. So yeah, Role Player. Definitely get this one if you like RPGs, whether it be via pen and paper or on the computer, because this game is excellent. The quality, there's so many components, and it's just a theme. It just oozes theme, and I think that's the best thing about it. So with that being said, stay on the lookout for videos. I'm sure Vinny is going to want to play this with me. So yeah, stay tuned. If you guys haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out my official website, www.dadsgamingaddiction.com. This is Vince. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.